We are live. And hello, I am definitely on CP time today, so please forgive me. I know I'm habitually late. I'm trying to get my shirt in here so y'all won't think I'm too low chested. I'm a woman of a certain age. So hello, everyone. Come on in. Come on in the room. You're not going to want to miss this. So jump on in, whether you're on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. Hello. Tell me how you're doing today. Tell me if you're sipping on anything. And I have not had a glass of Merlot in too long. So excited to have this Merlot. Whew. I really can't wait to dive into tonight's episode because it's going to be juicy. Do I use juicy a lot? I feel like I do. Either way, this show is going to be juicy, and I want to thank you a million times for joining me, your boy Eddie. I'm the Southern Gent. If you can't tell, I'm already excited for this show. Earlier this week, I mentioned the show to a lot of people, and people were kind of shocked by what I was going to talk about. But I also looked at my Facebook memories, just so happened, and they show my stories for February. Many of you know, but some of y'all don't. February was like one of the, February was the roughest month that I've experienced throughout the entire pandemic. Something about February was just difficult, from losing multiple friends, failed attempts at dating, health issues of family members, my own health issues. The list goes on and on. But I saw the memories and it reminded me, although I was like hurt physically, mentally, emotionally, what didn't break was my spirit. And that's because of you. Interactions on social media and seeing my loves in person really have got me through and kept my spirits high. I'm finally feeling like I'm getting back to me. And that's why I call this episode Can I Be Me? Y'all already know I'm a huge Whitney fan, and one of her favorite sayings is Can I Be Me? And after speaking with my guest last night, I really wanted to dive a little deeper into that. So some of the pressures from like outside sources forced me to live in a box, for lack of better words. But I always wanted to claw my way out because there was this feeling of liberation that I lacked. And this certainly stems from many aspects of my life, from child being in a closet or being in church or being involved in politics. Things like that really can take a toll on you. And it took a part in me wanting to be free. In my wanting to be me, it took a lot of work to get to this place of revelation. And it's a constant process because I'm ever evolving, ever growing, ever learning, and ever loving. So if there's one thing that I wanted to tell you all to ever grow, like think of those things that you do: evolve, love, and practice these things of peace. So continue to grow into those things in a loving manner. So let's get down to it. I have actually never met my guest tonight in person, but we have one hell of a time on Facebook, whether it's laughing my ass off, growing increasingly infuriated at some injustice, or becoming more cultured on many topics. My cousin Chris is one of my favorite online personalities. Now, before y'all get too free with your questions, your comments, and friend requests, know this: he's married to my cousin and she crazy, and I'm coming behind her, so we both crazy. So watch yourself, but please get back, enjoy this episode. Send in your comments, send in your questions. We're going to tackle some topics that may step on a few toes, that may have you in disbelief that I actually think like that. So actually enjoy. And hello, Cortez. So without further ado, I want to introduce you all to my cousin, Chris Penn.
Hey, what's up, fam?
What's going on? How are you feeling tonight?
Hey, I'm fabulous, man. I can't complain, man. Life is treating me well. Look at you. We got this snazzy Lafayette look going. I love it. I love it.
Somebody
You
did
looking the
tell me I
part.
look like him. And I was like, I didn't watch the show, but I love that one scene.
That one scene that
That
made
one
the
scene.
whole show, man. I mean, that's one of my favorite scenes in online film history, man. That's the funniest shit and the smoothest shit. The way he pulled that off, like, yes, do that.
Do it.
Let
So
them have it. Let them have it. Yep.
let them have it, and that's what I'm trying to do. Like, you're gonna get a lot from me, whether it's a turban, a head wrap, or ain't no do rag, but I'll definitely throw on a wig.
Don't we know?
So I'm so glad that you're joining me tonight. I consider it a privilege when folks actually show up. So thank you for joining me, and you're giving me this very floating, like artistic look tonight.
I had to clean up for this shit, man. I'm used to work. I'm a construction worker, man. I work on the job site every day, so I had to clean up a little bit. I said, look, I got my favorite shirt on, got
Okay.
my Stewie shirt.
Team
I had to
Steve.
clean the beard up a little bit so I wasn't had no wild hairs poking out, and all of that. But I'm straight. I'm good. I appreciate the compliment. Thank you, sir.
Because it's the darkness around you. It's like in the beat flowing. You can barely see the next. So it's almost like what's the
Now in
almost like
that pre-run,
clean.
I had a halo in that pre-run, so I had to get that corrected. I said
And
we
now
ain't
we're
going there.
twisted to the dark side. Step into the dark side.
There you
So
go.
we
There
said
you
we're
go.
gonna bust some myths tonight. Like, let's just hop right into it, right?
All right, let's do it.
So many people know that I am a pansexual. Most people don't know that I'm non-binary, who's frequently perceived as gay, but that's another topic. And you are a heterosexual cisgender man, black man at that. Where they do
Right.
that, right? But what folks don't know is that I actually have several straight black male friends. And yes, I said friends. So what's your take on straight men associating with members of the queer community?
I'm glad you asked that because it actually came up for me recently when I started mentioning to folks that I was gonna be on the show. I was excited about the show, and thank you for inviting me, by the way. But they were asking me like, I done heard of that show before, man. Ain't that gay show? What you doing going on that gay show? And I was like, well, I don't know that that's exactly what I would call it. I don't know that I call it a gay show.
Right.
There may have been some guests on the show that may have been from the rainbow community, but I don't know that I would tag it that way. But and if it were, uh, I'm secure in my manliness. I mean, I can be a straight dude on a gay show and probably be the one of the slickest, coolest ones there is. So let's do this. Let's talk that shit because it is what it is.
It is what it is. And I think
Yeah,
it's a very interesting. Go ahead.
sorry, no, go ahead. You.
I think it's an interesting perspective as well, too, because even within the queer community, it's questioned a lot of times of when a straight guy is friends with someone of the queer community, especially someone who's perceived as gay, but child, that's a whole nother topic, like I said. But in the of gay men that I know are oftentimes very sketchy when it comes to like straight black men. And I think there are a lot of great black men that are homophobic, but then there are also a lot of great black men who don't even think about those types of things, like the labels and stuff.
I think it has a lot to do with an individual's personal experiences, how they perceive um, how they perceive anyone when they meet them. I mean, we all come with preconceived notions and expectations, and and so forth. And it's almost impossible. I would dare say it is impossible to be without prejudice
Mhm.
when you're interacting with a stranger, particularly. But you know, as far as dealing with somebody on the spectrum, on the spectrum, somebody we got through looking at something on autism yesterday. I'm still got that on my mind. But no, when we deal with somebody, from the queer community, there, in my opinion, personally, I'm not worried about what's going on in your personal life, what's going on in your sexual arena. That's not my business. That ain't got nothing to do with our interaction, because I'm not inviting you into my bedroom. I'm inviting you into my conversation.
Okay.
I'm inviting you to, what I'm saying? We're interacting on a different level. It's not like we that interaction is of a different notion. So it don't bother me. Why would it? Now somebody who had a different experience. I had a gentleman, an older gentleman, mentioned to me, some traumatic experiences that he had as a child with someone in the rainbow community, and I understand how that goes and how that may have affected him personally as an individual. But generally speaking, I mean, I can't see that. I don't feel that. And we all got uh, different aspects of our lives that affect the person that we are and the person that we present ourselves as a public figure, or the face that we put on when we step out in public. And you know, who am I to judge what made you or got you where you are? I'm just going to enjoy you for who you are, what you are, and we're going to do that together.
Exactly. And that's the thing of the whole entire version of, like, when folks say I believe in vibes and energy and intellectuality. I don't think that's a word, but I'm making it up tonight. But when we think these things that intrigue us, I don't particularly lead with a label. And so I, for one, I'm not into labels like that. I understand the importance and all of that for some folks, not everybody. But as we discussed on the pre-show, people get so caught up in labels and will frequently use it to, like, identify someone. For me, I've felt very minimized a lot of times when I hear those labels that are placed on me. So talk to me about, how do we move beyond the label?
Man, that's a good question. I noticed that it's a commonality, and it's not particular to any group. To do that, we have a tendency, and I say we, and I mean we in general. People have a tendency to identify folks by a particular label when we see them. That's a black guy, or I was talking to that white boy the other day, or that gay guy came in my shop today. So that the people, we lead with a label, and I think that the way to address that in the most elementary and generic form is to use what I learned in the developmental disabilities community, working with that group was people first terminology. You speak about the person first and then whatever else after. So this may be a person who is gay or who happens to be gay, not a gay guy, or a person who's black or whatever, rather than that black dude. Because when you lead with the identification rather than dealing with the individual first, you've already assigned a label. You've already assigned a connotation. You've already boxed that person. You've already given a preconceived notion before you even start the discussion about who and what that person is. So, that people first terminology as a practice, I strongly suggest that I condone it, I promote it, because referring to the person first, and it becomes habitual not only in speech, but then it also, you start to internalize that, and you start to perceive people that way. This is a man first, and then he happens to be black, or this is a woman first, and she happens to be bisexual or whatever. So rather than lead with the term, rather than lead with the assignment and the label, lead with the person, and then explore the rest. And if you take that perspective and you walk that line, then it starts to eliminate a lot of the muddled part of it before you can even find the person, figure them out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that is very interesting because, as you know, I work in the field of HIV, and so we talk about people first language a little bit more now. It was still a conversation, but wasn't as widely known. And so, what I will say are some of my biases led me to believe those ultimate generalizations about people. And so hearing that people first language is what really moved me into changing the way I provided services, if that makes sense. So I decided to not look at this person based upon what they presented to me, or this is a person who may be impoverished or something. And then I moved into this person has issues with like whatever it was. And so it wasn't that thing before who they were. And that's what led me to be individualized in my services that I provided, because we're not a homogenous group of human beings. Like, we are multifaceted. And so
Right.
how do we provide love, provide services, provide like just any type of relationship aspect without having that people first like outlook?
You really can't. You can't. Not and do it effectively.
Right.
You know,
Right.
if you know you can do it, but there's always going to be that slant. So yeah, I'm with you 100% there. Like I said, working with individuals with developmental disabilities for over 10 years. You know, in that environment, you hear people say, "Well, so and so is a wheelchair." No, so and so is in a wheelchair. Don't say bring all the wheelchairs in the kitchen. Go and get all the people who are in wheelchairs and you know, help them to the kitchen. You know, and the same thing in a clinical environment when you're dealing with people with substance abuse. You know, you don't call somebody a dopehead. You don't call somebody a druggie. You don't call somebody. You know what I'm saying? They've got a serious clinical issue that needs to be addressed. You know, we don't want to treat them like crackheads and meth heads. Those are labels that carry connotations, obviously, from jump. And I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a place and a time for everything. And I'll be the first to say that there is nothing that's off limits for me when it comes to terminology and talking. I'll say what the fuck I want to say about anybody, anywhere. But there is a time and a place for everything. And you got to know that's part of the sharp. That's the sharpest part of it. You got to know when and how.
You got to know.
And yeah, you got to know when and how. And the skill comes when you know how to apply. You know how to turn it on and turn it off, and you know when you can say what and when you can't, when to back it up and you know, flip that switch. So
this is so funny because I saw a meme today, a series of memes. So when you say that you have to like know the appropriate time, there is a special generation of people between us. I can't remember the years, but we're the ones who were here after like our traditional boomers, and then we have the whatever they're called, Gen Zers, I think. So they're the ones who came after the technology. So we have the unique place of knowing those traditions and picking apart those traditions and using the pieces that work they say work for you, but for me is work for the betterment of me. So using some of those traditions, but then also knowing that there's a no holds barred. Like, we write our narrative to our story, we write our narrative to our life. So we can break against those traditions while still holding on to some values in life, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%.
And I will say one of the biggest places where I learned that was church.
In the church.
And I will say, I told people I was going to make their heads spin, right? So not only, we're going back to labels, not only is Chris a cisgender black straight man, he is also a former title. Like, what was your title?
A minister of the gospel. But I'm glad you said former, because I don't carry that title anymore, and I don't subscribe to that anymore at this point. So yeah, but I've got that experience. I've been there and done that.
One of my favorite lines that you said, I really, you really blew my mind last night with the what you said about the Christians. What you said about the good.
Well, what I said was that I was a good Christian. until Christians stop being good Christians. So now I'm just a good Chris.
A good Chris.
I'm a good Chris. I'll be a good Chris from now on. That's me. That's what I'm gonna do. Like I said before, and I'll say this again. You know, there was a time when I talked the talk. I stood in that pulpit and I preached the gospel just like any other preacher you know. Mm-hmm. But then there came a time to walk the talk. Mm-hmm. And so when folks see me now and they ask me, "Hey, Penn, why come you don't preach no more, man? Why you don't never do?" Hey, I'm walking it now. You ain't, you don't have to tell it all. Once you tell so much, and then after you have told it, then you just stop talking and start walking. And if they can't see that in my walk, don't listen to what I'm saying now. Pay attention to what I'm doing. Yeah. You know, if you can't see it in my walk, you can't see what I'm doing and how I move, then you wasn't listening to what I was saying anyway. So I let it, let the what they say, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Let the actions speak now. I don't have to say it from the pulpit no more.
Okay, we ain't gotta get up there hooping and hollering. Message out there. No right. Shade to the people that do.
Nope. Don't get me wrong now. Don't get me wrong now. And I have some really good close friends who are still, very, very deeply affected in the faith, that are still religious, church going folk, and I don't knock them for it. And we get into some heated debates online on social media, and I like to poke at them, and sometimes they'll get mad because I drag them for they wild, just dogged adherence to these specific I have to let it go. And I'm like, look, that's cool. That's you. Don't get mad because I was messing with you, because I don't believe what you believe. That's all right. It's all love. And like I said, if I stop messing with you, that's when you need to worry. Okay. When I be quiet, that's when you need to pay attention. As long as I'm poking at you and I'm fucking with you and I'm dragging you around and I'm getting mad when you poke with me and we back and forth, then hey, that let me know that we still on that level. We can still go tit for tat. We can mess around, but when I get quiet, you don't hear from me no more. You don't see me no more. I ain't showing up. That's when you know you fucked up.
Okay.
And when Chris is being a good Chris and not so much concerned about the Christian part no more.
So how did you really kind of deal with that? Because in the church, there's so many almost rules, and there are rules and expectations. So when you do, what do they call it, stray away from the church, how do you deal with some of the backlash and some of the talk that people come with?
Well, all I can do is speak for me. Now I can't tell you what to do with your life, but I can say I pointed back to the word. Mm-hmm. He pointed back to the word, and to be honest, if they are the good Christians, following the life of Christ, pointing back to their own, because really the principles of the Bible are not really specific to Christians. I mean, most of the principles of the Bible are universal truths. They're pretty, there's true. A lot of it's true for Islam. A lot of it's true for Buddhism. A lot of it's true for for other faiths. And I'm at this point probably more of a humanist than a Christian. But the principles are the same. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Act the way you want other folk to act around you. It's not that hard. But when folks want to drag you for walking away or not claiming that title, turn around and ask them, what is it I'm doing that's not Christ-like? You know, I mean, am I out of line? Am I that far out? Think about what the man did. Think about who he hung with and who he reached out to. You know, if you mad at me because I'm not in the fellowship of other Christians and I'm out here hanging out with these folk in the street, where was your Jesus at? He wasn't hanging out in the church around church folks. He was out here with these folk in the street, and he ate with them, and he sat with them, and he drank with them, he supped with them, you know. And the whole point was for him to relate to them and meet them where they are, and that's what you got. That's what your mission is. Is why are we preaching? Why are we churching tonight? This is what we were supposed to be doing. You meet people where they are. You meet them where they are, and you give them what they need. And you don't have to claim to be part of any particular congregation or faith to do that. You know, I'm a person for my people, and I love those who love me, and I take care of those who take care of me. So, you know, I see somebody that I feel compelled toward. I don't need a Bible for that. I don't need a congregational title for that. I don't need a ministerial title for that. I reach out. You know, and keep it low key. I don't have to broadcast it. I don't have to tell everybody. They don't need to know. It don't need to be on live. It don't need to be on Facebook. Nobody, you ain't got to come before the church and confess all your sins. You ain't got to tell nobody shit. This is between me and you. And I'm glad we got you right. You know, and next time you need something, holler at me again. We'll still keep it low key.
We'll still keep it low key and keep it motherfucking real. So the thing of it too is that, just like you said, it's not a broadcasting of what you do. It's more so about just doing it. Because what I also find myself doing is there'll be random moments where I will feel I leave with my entire self, and with my entire self, I do feel that there is the spirit within me and all of these other things that I have learned. And I just have not dived into a lot of other things. But based on those values that I've learned, I will still stop and pray with someone. And it's very interesting because I was like, because I was a very, I could carry on and on and on, like send the church up, okay? But I was like, what is this a self-serving thing? And so for me, it was more of a self-serving thing. And I was like, well, nigga, you up here praying for yourself and you supposed to be praying for the people. So it's kind of like there was a very divided thing. So when you said that, like, I was a good Christian until, about the Christians being good, it was like, oh, because that's literally what not drove me away from church, because I will still go from time to time. But on the end side of it, I don't know where my spiritual life would land. I'm just on this journey, and I feel like it's ever evolving, ever growing. And I know I have a couple of family members on here too that will be like, oh,
well, that's funny. But that works. It works on both ends. That's why I say you meet people where they are, and if just because you're not a churchgoer don't mean you can't sit down with somebody who is and pray.
Yeah.
Hey, because you're meeting them where they are, just like you would meet somebody who's on the opposite end of that spectrum, who you meet them in a different way. You meet them where they are, and you give people you don't expect them to come to where you are and to adopt your thought process and your faith and your commitments. You go meet them where they are. Find them in their position in life, find them at their station, and assess their need. If you're able, do what you can do. That's one thing that I try to do. I'm by no means anybody's go-to. So what I can handle, I'll do. What I can't, I try to utilize my resources to point people in the direction where I feel like they can get what they need.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any desire or intention to be everybody's go-to, but no. I know people, I know things, I know ways, so I'm like, hey, if I can throw you a tidbit of information, if I can turn you on to a website, if I can give you a phone number, if I can call somebody and put in a word for you, if I can point you to a book that's going to help you get where you need to be, then I'll do that. You know, because it's not costing me nothing, man. And if I can help you get a step ahead, then you know you're a step ahead.
Yes.
We pushing each other.
Exactly. And so in that as well, this is my last question about the religious shit. So what do you say to someone that may be in a space of spiritual discombobulation? They're trying to discover new things, no matter what the thing is. What do you say to that person?
Well, what I'm gonna say to them is, you do what's best for you. You know, every pretty much every religion that's been developed, and every uh, anti-religion that's been developed, somehow or another, is is designed, orchestrated, deployed from oneself. You got to find what's best for you. You
Mm-hmm.
got to understand yourself before you can understand anybody else. You have to love yourself before you can extend love outwardly to anybody else. You got to come to be stable on your own. You got to come to be content on your own. You have to be directed and motivated intrinsically before you can seek anything outside of self. So once you learn to master self, then you can start to reach outwardly and to do something for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, and you know, some people may disagree with that, and that's cool. But you know, that would be my. You ask me what would be my advice. That's gonna be my advice. You do what's best for you. You know, if you feel content being in the congregation of believers, then that's where you need to be. You know, I have a close family member who we have uh, conversations about church and religion and Christianity and belief and you know, on a regular basis. Probably one of my closest family members, one of my most beloved human beings on this planet. And this individual, we have this conversation regularly, and I understand that the reason he feels the way that he does is because of what he perceives the alternative would be.
Mm-hmm.
His statement is almost uh, always emphatically, I would much rather be in the presence of a community of people who are trying to better themselves and who are actively pursuing something that's positive than be in a community of people who are doing just the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this is coming from somebody who used to be a drug addict and an alcoholic, and you know, just uh, did a lot of damage to himself and to others over the years. And I tell this individual, I'm like, look, you know, if that's where you feel comfortable, you know, if you're afraid of being elsewhere because this was what works for you, then stay where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let nobody push you to feel like you have to do any different. Just because I'm not there doesn't mean that you can't be there. I'm cool with that. I applaud you. You want me to hold your hand and say a prayer? I'll pray with you. You
Mm-hmm.
can pray for me.
Right, right. We can do it. We can go there.
That's all right. That's all right. And you wanna turn on some Donnie McClurkin in the car? I'm cool with that. Let's listen to it. I still do Mississippi Mass Choir, even though we drinking Crown and Coke. I still listen to Mississippi Mass Choir. That's all right.
Ain't nothing
There
wrong
might be
with
there might be some Jakes in my playlist. It's
it.
okay.
I
Get
sure
ready,
got
get
some.
ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. Yeah, I know it. I've been there. I know it. I know, and I'm cool with that. I'm telling you, I'm cool with that. It's all right. It's all right. You know, hey, you gotta meet people where they are. Meet them
Right.
where they are. Yeah, yeah. So you asked me, what do I tell people when they're talking about, you know, their spiritual pursuits or
Mhm.
transitioning from the faith, out of the faith, or between churches, or you know, trying to find their place? You do what's best for you, and until you understand yourself, until you are content with yourself, until you have learned how your body, your mind operates, what affects you, what you know functions well for you. Until you understand that,
Mm-hmm.
Don't start looking for nothing else. You work on you.
Yeah.
You work on you.
And I think that's very pertinent to the conversation of, like we said earlier, we are multifaceted beings. And so
Absolutely.
the labels that we place on ourselves. And so I'm on Clubhouse. Are you on Clubhouse?
I'm not. I'm not. I hear about people talk about it, and I read a little bit about it, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I need another social media platform because if I get out, I'm gonna show out. I'm gonna show out. I ain't
And
gonna act
that's
right.
the place to do it.
It ain't enough hours in the day for me to start acting up on a whole new social media platform. Hell, I just found TikTok. I just, as an adult, I was like, I'm gonna start ticking and talking with these damn kids. We gonna start dancing and playing. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Yeah. Yeah. Whoa. I'm like, yeah. I'm not. I was like, hey, that's about as much of a social media platform as I intend to entertain at this point in my life. I ain't trying to get too serious. These folk out here on Clubhouse talking about, entrepreneurship and building this and building that, and they worry about what these celebrities doing. And I'm like, y'all, I'm so tired. I'm so tired of that. That's why I don't do Twitter. That's why I don't do
I
Twitter.
was just gonna say, I'm looking for my niche on Clubhouse. So everybody says you can find it, you can find it. But I'm like, well, these people are talking about some homophobic shit, some transphobic shit, some racist
Mm-hmm.
shit, like all these types of things that, it's not that you have to be an expert, because just like we talked about, everybody's experiences are different, and that's what you experience is not what we should feel is your experience, is more so about what you actually went through.
Right. It's
So
your journey.
they have a lot of labels. So you'll see, like, you made me forget, you see a lot of labels like Christian or mother or accountant. And these are the things that sometimes people automatically go into. And so by being multifaceted, I believe that religion has been a crutch for many people, but also a life changer for a lot of folks too. So there's two ends to it, and there, like you said, there's a spectrum. But I do think the unveiling of who we are comes about in time. And so I know for me, the unveiling came through my time, probably my third round of therapy. So that's something that we also both advocate for. It's like awareness of like the services and mental health and balance and things like that. So what are some of the things that you have revealed about yourself that may have been shocking to you?
In the mental health. Uh,
Not just in mental health, just like being a multifaceted being.
Okay, I got you. So, well, I mean, I'm learning that I have to, as I age, I have to embrace uh change,
Mhm.
physical change, emotional change, spiritual and mental change. We're on a journey. This is an evolution, and as individuals, we evolve and we develop throughout our lives. And uh, I heard somebody mention to me at one time that this, life is not a race. This is not a competition.
Mhm.
But it's a journey. And everybody moves at a different pace. Everybody's got different goals in mind. And as far as me realizing what I've discovered in myself, I've just it's discovering that there's never an end to discovery.
Mm.
There every year, every uh every season, things change. You
Mhm.
know, being an entrepreneur, business changes. It changes direction, and with that change, it may bring a new opportunity. It may bring a new source of income. It may bring new networking, new relationships. The same thing with the social arena. Social media has exploded opportunities for people to connect and to reach out and to develop relationships that otherwise wouldn't be there. If it weren't for social media, I wouldn't even know you.
Yeah.
feel me? So, there are so many different ways that we continually grow and develop and change and evolve. And you have to learn to embrace yourself as you are and as you're growing, as you're moving. Don't have a specific image of self that's static. I remember when I was 12 years old, and I've always been a little bit artistic. I've been a visual from and a creator my entire life. But I remember when I was 12, I wanted so badly to sketch a self portrait of myself. I wanted a self portrait, but I wanted to project what I was gonna be like when I was an adult, what I saw myself like in the year 2000. So 2012, I can't count back. I don't do math that well in my head. But anyway, it was I was in the sixth grade, and I knew when in the 12th grade, so I guess that'd be 6 years. In the 12th grade, I knew this is how I wanted to be. This is what I wanted to look like. This is this image that I had. I wish I had that picture, man. I share it with you right now. And when I got to that age, and I looked at that picture, I found it in some stuff that I had tucked away, and I pulled it out and I looked at it. I was like, man, I kind of do resemble that a little bit. But as time passed and I outgrew that image that I had of myself, it took me a little while to adjust. When I started, and like just like you, I've resumed therapy recently. I just started back dealing with a I'm on my mental health pony too, and I was just telling my therapist recently. I said, it took me a while to adjust my own image of myself, my perception of myself, because in my mind, I was still that dude in that picture. And here I am 40 years old, or about to be 40 years old soon. And I still had in my mind that I'm that dude in that picture from 2000, which was 21 years ago. So I'm a different dude now. And I'm learning to embrace the fact that my beard is no longer on the top of my head. You know what I'm saying? I'm starting to embrace the fact that everything that used to be right here is now down here somewhere just above the waist and just below the chest. Things are moving around. I might not be a track star no more, but I can get everywhere I want to go as long as I got gas. So I'm just saying, things are different, but you got to embrace that, and you got to learn to embrace your strengths and embrace the new changes that come. And your strengths may change over time. You have to learn to embrace that too.
And that's a great point, because like the adaptation of life is so unfamiliar for a lot of people, because for a long time I was resistant to change. Like I didn't want to change my routine. I didn't want to change like anything. And so now what I've come to realize is that I made many plans for my life, like this 5-year plan, a 3-year plan, and those are great because that gives you
structure.
Structure. But in the same instance, I cannot be devastated as I used to be when things kind of go off course from that itinerary that I had set forth in my life. And so that's one of the things that I worked on previously in therapy. And so now when I think about it, one of the revelations that really stuck out to me is that you're never, I don't have to say like you're never, but you don't have to hold on to the past. And so because we have a history and that's the past that builds who we are, it's not like it is something that is inevitable, that we cannot say that of course it happened, but it's not something that I have to dwell on or have to say in like, oh, well, this happened to me and this is the reason I'm such and such, because I have the opportunity to grow beyond that trauma or pain. And so what I have come to see, which is why I started the Southern Gent, is a lot of people have not moved beyond certain traumatic circumstances. And a lot of people say that therapy is not for them. So that's another conversation that I would also like to have around the maybe I'm looking for therapists and stuff to come on to. But what if someone came to you and had these problems and you knew that therapy would be a great resource, what would you say to that person too?
Well, I mean, therapy, I think that everybody can benefit from therapy. And there are so many different types of therapy. A lot of people kind of have this real narrow perspective of, you're laid on the couch, and then the psychiatrist is there, and he's drilling you on these weird questions, wanting you to drag all these nasty old memories from your childhood. And that's a kind of a negative connotation, and a lot of people don't want to just jump right in and start dumping all of their dirty laundry out in front of a total stranger. Before I chose my therapist, I did an extensive research. Literally months, and I researched. I looked for I wanted to know their body of work. I wanted to know what their experience was, and therapists have. Specialties. A lot of them specialize. They have different credentials. They have different certifications, and not every therapist is going to be a good fit for every patient. So seek somebody that you feel like is going to be a good fit for you. And after you've met this individual, and most of them will have an initial consult, and typically they don't charge you for that. So just take advantage of that opportunity and meet that person, and get a feel for their therapeutic method, their methodology, and their theory about therapy, because there are multiple different types of treatment and different theories behind it. And if you're not satisfied with the first or the second or the third person, keep looking until you find somebody that fits you well. I knew there were certain criteria in my mind that would not work for me, because I've had therapy before, and I was like, I know that this type of person is not going to work. If they're going to take this approach, or if they're from a particular angle, then that's not going to work for me. So I had to find somebody who I felt like I felt confident in, who I felt like could relate, because relatability is a major factor, and I felt as somebody who I felt like I could trust. It takes time, and especially for guys, men and for men in general, but specifically for men of color, for black men, for brown men. It seems like we have this stigma about talking to a therapist, or talking to a psych. Like, ain't nothing wrong with me, man. I ain't crazy. It's not about being crazy. It's not about being slow. There ain't nothing wrong with you because you choose to develop your mental health. And I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how accomplished you are. I don't care how stable you are. Anybody and everybody can benefit from having somebody that they can talk to who is neutral and objective and skillfully educated to deal with your specific issues. So don't be afraid to pursue that person, especially if you got medical insurance that pays for it. Man, for years, I have had medical insurance that would cover my therapy that I never even thought about going to therapy. I was like, I ain't going to no therapist. I ain't gonna talk to nobody. You know what I'm saying? But now I'm like, you know what? I ain't paying for it. My insurance paid for it. So why not? I'm going wrong. And if I can't benefit, and that initially, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna turn it back over to you. Like we at church. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna turn it back over to you. Initially, I was like, if I don't like it, then I just won't go no more. It ain't cost me nothing, so try it. Why not? I've tried things in business that didn't work, but it was at minimal investment. I didn't lose anything. I've tried things in relationships that didn't work. I've tried things, in all aspects of my life that didn't work. Why am I scared to try this?
Right.
Why am I worried about the stigma behind this? And besides that, these people are held to a particular professional code, just like your lawyer, just like you have attorney-client privilege. You have therapist-client HIPAA that they have to abide by. They are bound to maintain the secrets that you share. The information that you share. So don't be afraid of it. Pursue it. And if you don't like it, turn it off. Walk away. Like I said earlier, you do what's best for you. You gotta take care of you first.
What she say? Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
I think that is also really cool because I have recently come into contact with a lot of people who have been like, therapy ain't for me. I don't want to talk to them. And let me not mock them in that manner, but these are the things that they're saying, right? That's just what we do. But in that sense, hearing you say that you were like, therapy ain't for me or something like that, that's where the same statements come in, because I also believe that therapy was not for me before I started going. And so when I did, I was like, oh, this is mind-blowing shit. So
yeah.
And so I shop around, just as Cody said. It's almost an interview process, because there are questions that I have developed for my therapist, because I now have a roles and responsibilities type thing. So if you are going to be my therapist, my mental health counselor, my nurse practitioner of mental health, whatever you're going to be, whatever title you have, there are some things that I do require from you. And so I may not flat out be like, is you a private girl, or, things like that, but it's more so of how do you communicate? Especially when there are how do you communicate when there's traumatic situations involved? Because that's something that's really important to me. Because I had a therapist literally tell me to get over it. And I was like, who? Like Oprah said, what? I was like, mind blown. And it really could have changed the course of my journey with therapy, because it was only my second therapist and my second round of therapist, but my first therapist. So it was my first time going to therapy outside of my first therapist, who was my therapist for years. So I really could have said like this, but I was more so about empowering my own mental health journey, because the lives that we live, the people who are around us, I feel not that I owe it to these people, I owe it to myself to be there for myself. But a part of me being me is that I am there for other people. And so that was the sense that really got me back into therapy.
I'm glad that you said that, because that kind of cues me into something that I learned from talking to different therapists. I learned something that I never really thought about before, and I don't think most people do, is that every therapist has a therapist, because they have to be available to other people. They're there to care for other people. Somebody's got to take care of the person that takes care of you. So if you're worried about going to see a therapist, just remember that the therapist goes to see a therapist. So, and they're educated, they're trained in the field, they got all kind of years of experience and all of this. These folks, they go to therapy. So if it's good enough for the therapist, then trust me, you can go to therapy too, and you can benefit from therapy too, and you can learn, and you can develop, and you can change, and you can have an aha moment, and things can come out of therapy that you never would have expected, but you got to try it. You got to try it. Things burns me up is people that will discount or discredit something, cancel something without trying it first. That how do you know that's not for you?
Right.
I tell my kids all the time, they come in here, I be in there cooking, and they come, Daddy, what you cooking? I'm cooking whatever. Oh, I don't like that. Have you tried it? No, I just know I don't like it. Then you don't know that you don't like it, because you ain't tried it. So after you tried it one time, if you don't like it, then you can tell me you don't like it. I won't cook it for you no more. But don't tell me you don't like it and you ain't tried it.
You tried it.
You know, and I believe the same thing applies for therapy, man, and a lot of other stuff in life. We ain't getting all of that, but you know, it applies to lots of things. Remember, this is the what show? What did they ask me? Show I was going
The
on?
Southern Gent with his little nasty stuff.
It's like, ain't you going on that? What kind of show is that?
That gay show. And I'm like, nigga, I ain't even gay. I probably pull more girls than you do, but we ain't gonna talk about this. People are always so shocked when I say that, like that I still have relations, and not necessarily relationships. That's another show, but relations with women, like cisgender women included. It's so interesting. But yeah.
Hey,
talk about
how you gonna know what you don't like?
And that's what I told him. I mean, that's
how you gonna know?
Okay,
how you gonna know? That's right. Don't look. Don't say what you don't like
until you try.
You ain't tried.
So in a post on Facebook, you cancel things. So we'll get to this. I know it's a really heavy topic, but really quickly.
Okay.
You mentioned banned books. And so there's this whole thing around cancel culture, which is sometimes misinterpreted depending on who you asking, right? But the most recent things that have happened was like Pepe Le Pew was one of them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agreed with that, by the way.
What?
I said I agreed with that cancellation, by the way.
There are a few. And so what also happened was the banning, or no, not the banning. The Seuss Foundation pulled these certain books. It was not canceled, it was pulled.
Right.
In overall, there's this sense of quote unquote cancel culture. Some people say that it's going too far, or people are being too sensitive. How do you feel about some of those things like Pepe Le Pew that have been taken out, halted or modified, even Potato Head?
Well, yeah, right. Well, there's a time and a place for everything. Mm-hmm. And I've said this about the Confederate statues, because I like to bring that one up, because that's one that seems to strike a nerve with Black folks, and so that's one I always point to, because people think that they get upset when I say that we should not be taking down the statues. Okay. And number one, we got better shit to complain about. We got all kinds of stuff that we can be addressing than to be worried about a statue in a park that celebrates some Confederate hero that the little black kids playing around the bottom of it, hide and go seek, probably don't even know who the hell it is. They never even looked at the statue. Don't think nothing about it. It's just a statue in a park. So we got a lot bigger issues to deal with than tearing down statues. But I will say this: there is a time and a place for everything. That statue may be better suited in a museum. Okay. You know, it marks and it celebrates a time in our history that we need to talk about. We need to have a conversation about. If somebody thought it was so important to recognize that individual, to erect that statue, I'm more interested in why was that so fucking important that you celebrated somebody that was that damn vile. We need to keep that statue so we can keep having this conversation. Yeah. But when you cancel the statue and you remove it, then the conversation goes away. Wasted. Yeah. So the same thing applies with the cartoons. You know, they just they're working on Space Jam, right? They're getting ready to have Space Jam come back out, and they took some of the characters and they rebuilt them. They snatched some of these cartoons off the air. They're not showing them anymore. You know, they are representative of a time and a specific setting. There were different values. There were different events that were going on. There were a different culture at that time. Those are artistic products of that time frame that we need to recognize and we need to document. So to delete it would be a shame. It would be a crime. But to promote it might be an issue.
Yeah.
So, when people say that they got a problem with Disney pulling certain movies or certain content because they don't want it exposed to children, they pull it off the children's channels. I'm cool with that because
Mm,
we shouldn't be calling Indians redskins or
yeah,
American indigenous people redskins.
right.
We shouldn't leaning on the Pepe Le Pew stereotypes, of the French, the French male.
Mm,
I mean, some of that stuff is just kind of over the top. It's a little much, and we don't want
mm,
to reinforce those stereotypes. We don't want to reinforce that. But now, do we need to delete that shit altogether? No. It just
mm,
has a time and place, and we need to discuss it in the right context.
mm,
Come up in a classroom setting, or it needs to come up in a educational setting, so that we can look at it for what it is as a product of its time.
right.
But now that we've grown past that, or we're growing past that, or we are trying to grow past that, we need to put it in its place, not cancel it and delete it altogether.
Right. I think for me, I definitely totally agree with the time and the place. So there are certain things that need to just be axed out. And so there are certain things that can be. So in a certain sense, I also agree with Whoopi, who was like, could we have given Pepe a new role or a new image? But then we still would face backlash because then the Pepe Le Pew that people knew wouldn't be the same. And so it's like there's really almost no winning when it comes to you'll never please anybody. But what you can do for the common good is do what's best for the common good. And I
Well,
the erasure of Pepe Le Pew from the movie to me was the most common good because there were too many layers of Pepe that
mhm,
like
yeah, yeah, I agree on that one, and but generally speaking, I like what the Dr. Seuss Foundation did, because they made an active decision to do some make some changes
mm-hmm,
on their own, and it was their choice to do.
right.
Now it's not our place as the general public to get out and to tell somebody else what to do with their shit.
Mm-hmm,
You know. Now, if we're offended by it, goddamn it, don't watch it.
mm-hmm,
You don't want to see it, then keep your kids in the house. You
mm-hmm,
know, take control. Use the parental controls on your TV, and don't let them watch the shit you don't want them to see.
yeah,
But don't get out here and get pissed and start trying to make it political, and try to make these people to pull their shit off the air because you fucking offended.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's my take on it. I really like that those folks handled their own business, and they
Right.
made their own choices about how to address the issues that they found in their shit.
Right.
They were like, okay, these 6 Dr. Seuss books have problematic content that we don't want to have to address, so we're gonna pull it. We're just not gonna print them anymore. That was their
Exactly.
choice to do. And
And they did
you know,
research.
yeah, and so I mean, it'd be different if they were forced to pull it. They weren't
Mm-hmm.
forced.
They
They
were
did
not.
it on their own accord, and that's the part that I like about that scenario. Now, it may be different, for Disney. It may be different for Pixar or whoever else, is under discussion. But I think that it's their shit. So, how they react, how the public reacts to what they do, know, that's what that's what free market capitalism is all about. You lean on the market, you let the market determine, what is or what ain't.
Right. And that's what I appreciated about the Seuss Foundation is because they engaged with teachers and readers and fans and all types of people to really come to the conclusion that they came to. And I think with a lot of the other quote unquote cancellations, there has been seemingly, allegedly, mass hysteria around social media movements. And so that gives a higher voice, because I don't like to blame the media, because to me the media is like a
double-edged sword.
yeah. So it's like we're blaming these people, but it's not that same thing in the sense of now it has been sent to the public, and the public can see it. They're retweeting it. They're posting it on the news. They're posting it in newspapers, all these places. And it's like, these are opinions from certain people. And I think there are bigger fights. There are things that we definitely have to speak up about, and it will take little voices to do it. But I think there are a lot of, just not saying people are being too sensitive, but there are, like you said, there are some cultural things that we have to know about, that we have an opportunity to change. So, like Whoopi said, you can say, well, like, Pepe don't do that no more. But then at the same time, it's like, well, if Pepe doing it, somebody gonna just see Pepe doing it and be like, well, I can do it too. And
Right.
there's so many things. There's so many layers to that too.
Yeah, there's so many layers to that particular character and to that whole that just that whole scene and the way that character was designed. Man, that'd be the one that I would put. That's the one I
I
would put.
forgot about some of those things that I did read about. Oh yeah. Bye, Pepe.
Yeah.
Man, I was finna root for you. Bye, Pepe. So
And like,
there's this little game.
It has its place, because I remember watching Looney Tunes growing up, and I remember Pepe Le Pew. I remember enjoying watching that cartoon as a kid, and now looking back on it, I'm like, did Pepe Le Pew make me a sexual predator? No, but now I see why that reinforces particular norms, and for small children who are not who don't have what we call it in the Black community, home training.
Home training.
For the folks who ain't got good home training, that may reinforce to them habits and actions that are just not cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think that example needs to be out there. Certainly not for tiny people.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, like I said, if you put it in an educational setting, you put it in a classroom setting, maybe on a college level, or you use it as a case study or something, then yes, it needs to remain so that we can continue to have this conversation and we can continue to reference content like that and say, remember back when they used to have Pepe Le Pew as a cartoon? Remember the nasty shit that motherfucker used to do? That was common. It was cool. Everybody accepted it. It was all right back in the 60s and 70s and 80s, but we learned better in the 2010s, and we decided to do better.
I still know a lot of Pepe's, honey. Like,
shit. I'm telling you, it's a whole lot of handsy motherfuckers out there that need to get their shit together. It probably was watching that and it didn't even realize that they were being reinforced that shit was cool.
Like, chill out. There, yeah. I'll tell you about my Vegas story. Another term, almost.
Okay.
So there's this little game that I like to play called In the Hot Seat with Eddie.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, whoa, wait a minute now. I didn't get no warning about this. So
it's an either or game. Two choices, like BMW or Benz. You ain't got to explain or anything, but you can after. So it's up to you to explain. But there's some interesting choices in this one, okay?
Okay.
All right. First one up. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Living single or girlfriends?
Living single.
Morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
What's worse, dishes or laundry?
Dishes.
Music, Anita or Sade?
Anita.
Is it soda or pop?
Pop. We from Arkansas. It's pop.
That's fun. Riding or doggy style?
Whoa, run that back. Say it again.
Riding or doggy style?
I need some context for that one.
We'll skip it. I
need some context. What show are we on?
You take your answer how you want to, okay? You can sell horseback. Yeah,
What
sure.
show are we on? That shit up in the education tonight. I don't know about all that. Yeah, you gotta give me some context. I can't answer that as a one word answer.
This is the Southern Gent. Nothing is off the table. I say horseback riding.
Horseback ride. Okay.
Hey, I left it kind of open. Real slick.
Oh shit.
So let's get into a little more business. We're coming to the close of the show, but we have not about business. You are a man of many talents and business ventures. So talk to me about those talents, because there was one talent that I was really intrigued by. But what is one of those that really shocked people?
That shocked people?
Like talent. You can even I'll ask you just specifically.
Well, okay, yeah. I know what you're getting at, but go ahead, throw it out there. I see what you're getting at. Go ahead, throw it in.
Ready for my plus size photo shoot. I need some pieces.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Throw it at me again. Come on, roll it back.
So either or, you can answer your most shocking talent that people may not know, or you can just tell the people about the specific talent that I've aforementioned.
Shocking talent that they may not know. Shocking.
Well, not shocking. It's shocking to other people, maybe not to you.
You lost me.
Literally, the one about that I'm talking about is shocking. It was shocking to me. Okay.
About code switching.
No. Like the designing and sketching and stuff.
Well, as far as art goes, I've always been an artistic type. I've always been a content creator on different levels. So there's no medium that's off limits for me. So there's literally no medium that's off limits. So if you call that a talent, there's not much that I can't do or won't do. I just figure it out.
I can't draw a stick figure, so
again, I'm a sketch art. I do sketches. I paint. I do costume design. I design dresses. That's the one that throws people off sometimes. They're like, dude, you do dresses? I'm like, yeah, man. I've always had a fascination with really slick ass dresses, cool ass dresses. Not for me, but right. I admire the feminine physique, and I'm like, if I can design something that accentuates that, I'm a beast. So there you go. I cut hair. I cook. I'm a cook. I'm a Creole, so it's a Creole tradition that all Creole men have passed down. I shouldn't say all, but most Creole men pass down their cooking skills to their sons. That's kind of a tradition. So I got that. I ain't scared of that. So yeah, you talk about multiplicity of talents. Yeah, that's me. I don't mind saying it. I do a little mechanic work. I do carpentry. Hey, there's a lot of shit that we do.
What did I say? It don't stop. But
it don't stop.
More specifically, I want to talk about your specific business ventures. So first one that we did talk about was Two Brothers 501.
TwoBrothers501.com. Yeah, that was we started out as an architectural salvage firm. 2008 was when we started. My brother and I, we were just trying to make ends meet. We had a family. I had a family of 5, and then I took in my 2 younger brothers. So here we are, 7 people in the household. I had 1 income. So I started working a second job. That wasn't enough. So I got my brothers together and we started collecting up literally people's trash. We took things that people threw away and we found ways to repurpose it. We spent hours and hours scouring YouTube channels and trying to figure out ways to take things and repurpose them to resell. So we started with architectural salvage. We did storm cleanup, tornado salvage. And we would take all of the lumber and all the materials from people's homes that were decimated in these tornadoes and these storms. We take that material, we repurpose it and resell it. So that kind of led to us acquiring estates. And when we would acquire estates, we got a lot of old people shit, which was antique. And we started selling antiques. And that developed into, we started off with a flea market booth. Then we graduated to an antique store booth. And then we started doing shows. And the natural progression from that for me was I wanted my own shop. I didn't want to have be under somebody else's, label. So them two brothers was born. We opened our own antique store. We grew over the first few years and opened an architectural salvage warehouse in addition to the antique store. And when I started to see the market getting flooded with cheap, generic import reproductions of antiques, it kind of hurt my business a little bit. It got to the where we could see, the things that we were selling as authentic, unique, one of a kind items. You could go down to Hobby Lobby or Pier 1 and you could buy the same thing in 3 different colors and you could order it, have it shipped to your door for half the price that we were asking. So, that kind of prompted me to start looking for a new business. So I liquidated all of my antiques inventory. We picked up all of our architectural salvage, and rather than liquidate it, I started using it to do historic renovations on old homes. So all of the money that we made from selling out the antiques inventory, we bought some real estate in the historic district, and we started using our architectural salvage materials to put authentic, period-specific stuff back into old homes. Developed the homes, started leasing them out, and became a whole new business. So, that's what we do. That's what we did, all the way up until 2019, and that's when we started exploring another facet because I realized that the real estate market is something that's kind of tricky. It's kind of it does have some seasons, and there's some things to it. So I wanted another stream of income to kind of fill in the gaps. So I started doing small engine repair. Had some downtime. Typically, our downtime is from Black Friday until New Year's. That's when we would close the shop up. We close down the business. We do books for the year. And I just decided during that downtime, my vacation, I started teaching myself how to do small engine repair. So I got on YouTube, educated myself, and by January, I was building small engines and producing lawn equipment. And that's what I do now from March to September. I sell small engine equipment. And then from October to February, I remodel a house every year. I do one house every year. So that way I've got passive income coming in off of my homes that I put out each year. And then I've also got active income that I produce myself personally throughout the spring and summer months. And it also gives me time to spend with my sons. I teach them the craft. They understand the trade, and I got something that I can lead them. They can do everything I can do, and they don't have to worry about whether or not they'll ever have to eat. Have a way to eat. They'll always have a way to eat, even if they don't want to do what I'm doing. So now that's my entrepreneurial history in a nutshell.
I love it. So again, it's the number 2 brothers501.com. And also
brothers501.com.
Right?
What's that?
That on Instagram as well, right?
Yeah. Instagram, we're 2 Brothers 501 on Instagram. Facebook, 2 Brothers 501. Look us up. We still got remaining inventory from the antique shop and from the architectural salvage warehouse. We're still liquidating on the website, and I'm still a buyer. I mean, once you're in that business, you can't just get completely out of it. You're always, once you're a buyer in the antiques market, you're always a buyer. You're always looking, you're always seeing, and when you see a good deal, you can't pass it. That's just the entrepreneur in me. So I still buy, I still sell, and you can still find all of that inventory at Two Brothers 501 on Instagram. And then, of course, our website, twobrothers501.com. That's where all of our real estate investments, our rental properties are listed there, along with some of our inventory from the antique shop. So all the fun stuff still out there.
I think that is really awesome because entrepreneurship is one of the things that have like kind of skyrocketed, but it's a special passion to do what you want to do in order to stay in that entrepreneurship. Because if you're just doing it to make the money, you have to really understand what it is and think about these things. And if it is just for the money, there should also be a level of research, because you just don't want to be out here doing nothing and like doing just anything is what I mean. So
absolutely.
Be definitely knowledgeable about what you're selling, even if it's just for the money. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you for one thing, as an entrepreneur, you got to be passionate about your work, and that's one of the things that's why I push it hard. I push it on my kids. I push it on my circle. Anybody that's close to me, they know that I am a firm believer in being very intentional about pursuing some kind of an entrepreneur effort in your life. Even if you're working a job, that's cool. There's nothing wrong working a job. Just understand, as long as you're working a job, you're making money for somebody else. So when you start to pursue some type of an entrepreneurial effort, then you are at least taking a step in the direction of producing income for yourself. You are taking a step in the direction of financial independence. So you know, I don't expect everybody to jump right out there and be a business owner like me. Not everybody's going to have that desire or that ability, and that's okay. But I feel like everybody should have. Everybody should at least attempt to explore an entrepreneurial effort at some point in their life. And I think that they'll benefit from that experience, because then you're on the other side of the table. You're not just an employee who is out there learning a minimal skill, you know, on a line, or you're doing some kind of a task, you know, in a process, when you're the one creating the process, and you're the one managing the process, and you're the one building the business plan, and you're the one that's taking those hits, and you're sucking up those losses, and you're celebrating those wins, then that places you in a totally different mindset when you realize the power that you have being the one in charge. So everybody needs to have that at some point, that experience. Just like I feel like everybody needs to have some kind of experience with people with developmental disabilities. Everybody needs to work with children at some point. Everybody needs to work with animals at some point. Everybody needs to have some kind of experience with how food is grown and produced. You know, these are just certain basic life skills I think everybody should have. Everybody should have a basic automotive course to understand how your vehicle operates and what to do with it. You know, everybody needs to have a cooking class.
I was gonna say, damn, you don't hit me with the animals and cars.
I mean, these are just, to me, these are basic life skills that everybody should have, you know, at least some exposure to at some point. You know, so I honestly believe that entrepreneurship is something that everybody should be exposed to at some point, and should at least attempt to pursue.
Yeah, I think that's good. But yeah, you hit. I was like, animals.
Well, now don't get me wrong. I'm not a pet person, and I'll tell anybody in a heartbeat, I am not a pet person. But I understand pets. I used to work on a chicken farm. I used to work at Tyson Hog Houses. Yes, we used to drag dead hogs out, throw them on a truck, haul them back out in the field and bury them. We used to have to get out there 102-degree weather outside. It'd be 127 degrees inside. We pull the dead hogs out, all the hog shit and everything on your head to toe. Yeah, we'd do it all. That's country life, baby. That's Arkansas for you. But that, because of that experience, I know what the fuck I don't want to do in life.
Yeah.
You feel me? And that's why I don't want to work a job for somebody, because I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. And
I'm
then
not gonna.
to another level, there's a whole spiritual place you can go. What is it, metaphysical? I don't want to step in those shit, so I don't want to be in those shit. I've literally done that. And so that's I just think about all of my work experiences and translate it to my personal experiences and all of these things. But I think that's a very good way, like my last words of merging your lives and taking a different stance on things. Because we talked about perspective a lot tonight. We talked about business. We didn't really get to a lot of the other topics, but that just means you have to come on for a part two.
All right.
All of these other things. I have thoroughly enjoyed you. I want to know, do you have any last words?
You know, just
Not last words, but do you have any thoughts for the
last thoughts?
Yeah.
Just revisiting that earlier thread of finding what's right for you. I think we all have different paths in life. We all have different nuances that we have to deal with. We all have different ways of processing things, and we all have different perspectives and different experiences, and all of that's cool. That's what makes you you. But understand that it's a process, and you need to do what's best for you, and then work your way out from there. So those are my final thoughts.
Hey, look, I'm gonna drop your cash app for the tabs.
See, that lets you know how long I've been gone from the church. When I was in church, they ain't have card stuff. They didn't do electronic stuff and online. We bought Bibles, paper Bibles to church. We had highlighters and drawing in the margins. Yeah, that's the church I know. That's the church I remember.
Them
I don't know
little ass pages. I was gonna highlight or go through the pages.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about this new church where they do Bible on the phone. That's new to me. I mean, if that's the case, I can do Bible in my bed. I don't have to get up and go.
You made me sick, but I have thoroughly enjoyed you. We have some comments. You may be able to go. Well, you will be able to go back if you want to answer some of the ones that we missed. So apologize to those that we did not get to. But if we do feel like going back, we'll go back.
Oh, hey, I'll answer anybody's questions.
I know you will.
Oh, you know me. I will get started on a whole new conversation in the comments, in the comment section.
I have 10,000 comments before the morning. Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very flattered that you thought enough of me to bring me on, and I hope that we can do it again because I truly enjoy you. And hey, as long as we fam, we're gonna always be able to chit chat. So, it is what it is, bro.
It is what it is. Talk later.
All right. Thank you.
And thank you to everyone that tuned in tonight. My inbox, again, I don't know what y'all are asking me, but my phone just died anyway. But y'all have been blowing this Facebook Messenger up. But thank you for coming in and sending your comments and sending these questions that you may have had. I will be bringing Chris back for part two. We don't know when yet, as you can tell, but we will be doing that. So I do want to announce that we will be continuing the show next week. The special guest is to be announced. I have two people that are kind of fighting for their spot, but I thoroughly enjoyed all of you coming, and special thank you to Cody and everyone else that joined. Don't forget, if you want to be a guest on the Southern Gent, you can email me at igobyeddy@gmail.com, or you can send me a message on Twitter. My DMs are open. Wink, wink. Or on Facebook. Send me a friend request at Eddie Weddy, or I don't know about YouTube. I don't fool with that as much. But please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and it's Ed Wiley 06. Ed Wiley 06. All right, I have thoroughly enjoyed y'all. Come back next week. Same place, same time.